Hey everyone, this is Thyworm and today I want to discuss a bunch of uniques, what they are good for and how they can be used. This video series was a request by a few community members, so here you go. Enjoying last Epoch content? Consider subscribing. In this episode I will talk about the unique chest pieces. We currently have 9 of those. I have all 9 in the stash and I played with all 9 pieces. We're taking the lowest level items first and work our way up. Starting with the Falcon. Apart from its implicit, it only has 2 affixes, flat dodge and a unique affix, 15% movement speed if you have hit an enemy in the last 5 seconds. Body armor normally doesn't have movement speed, so if you want to go fast, this is very good. During the campaign you will most of the time hit an enemy every 5 seconds, making this a permanent buff. I would say the Falcon is mostly a leveling unique. If you go for a meme build in endgame focusing on attack speed and full dodge, the Falcon is a reasonable option, but it doesn't normally compete with crafted items around endgame. Up next, the doublet of Onos Tull. I couldn't find much information on who this might be, Onos Tull, but the description reveals it may have been an important person in the Immortal Empire during the Imperial era. Despite its level requirements, which is only level 5, this body armor carries some very decent stats, especially if you want to create a minion bleed build of course. The affix, which grants 100% increased bleed duration, is unique. 100% increased duration of damage over time effects means obviously that they last twice as long. But what is really nice about this is that now you also have twice as long to stack the bleeds. Your minions are capable with this unique to stack much more bleed stacks because bleed lasts longer, and more bleed stacks means more damage. While mostly a leveling item, in endgame it can be viable for these specific builds. Another consideration I always make with minion builds is your own defenses. While most endgame builds require you to be glancing blow capped and crit immune, with minions I would argue it's a bit different. They can do the heavy lifting while you are running around dodging enemies. I usually don't take a ton of defensive items on summoners and beastmasters. With that in mind, you can slot in a few more uniques, and combined with the idols that increase minion damage over time, plus some minions and companion passives that increase bleed effects, this unique could be very useful indeed. Our third unique is made for mages primarily, the Prism Wraps, a reference to what happens if you send light through a prism. You get a rainbow basically. In this case, a rainbow embodies the elements fire, lightning and cold. I don't think it is a coincidence that the rainbow edge synergizes well with this. Back to the Prism Wraps however, at first glance these stats may not seem impressive. It is pretty decent however, specifically the reduced elemental damage taken, which makes these wraps viable for endgame. Combine it with the super rare Orion's Eye unique to convert all incoming void damage to fire, which is elemental damage, and then the Prism Wraps reduce the fire damage by another 30%. It's a cute little synergy like this that makes this very useful. 7% leech is also not irrelevant because this adds up, and late game elemental spells tend to do massive damage. For leveling it is amazing, but for endgame it can definitely be used in a few builds as well, as this unique works well with basically any mage build. The main issue with this is that mages generally tend to go ward for their defenses, as that scales so well with all the intelligence they're stacking and their skills and passives. And if you go ward, you go to the 5th unique of today, designed by the legend Ziggy D himself, the Exsanguinous. Ziggy D apparently saw my last video and must have had a good laugh on how I butchered the name, but hopefully now it is better. But before we get there, another unique featured in that same video, basically designed to solve mana issues for the Sentinel. It is Urzil's Pride, and I discussed this item quite extensively in my top 5 uniques video, just like the Exsanguinous. I'm not going to repeat myself over here. Check my top 5 uniques for this one, it's in the card. Suffice to say, without Urzil's Pride, Sentinels have severe mana issues, and without the Exsanguinous, there wouldn't be a low life build possible. It is the go-to unique for any war build to be honest, on both mages and acolytes. If you want to discuss any of these uniques with me, feel free to join the Discord, link in the description down below. That means we have 4 more uniques to go, and arriving at level 27 you can equip Yrun's Wisdom, which has a very elvish look with its leaves. It is a great unique for any melee cold build, such as Shatter Strike Spellblade or a Tempest Strike Shaman. I played both of those builds and it's got amazing synergy. 30 flat cold damage is a lot of damage as well, and normally not available on body armors. This item provides a major damage boost at full health. Once your health drops below 65%, you start leeching instead of doing flat cold damage, making this item very versatile. The item itself already gives you a hint on how to use this, which is basically by stacking health, lots of health. Because lots of health means lots of health leech. 3% leech may not seem as much, but especially the Spellblade with Shatter Strike can invest heavily in attack speed, allowing you to top up that health bar within a second. Its attributes definitely make it a viable endgame item, and while leveling 30 flat cold damage is such an insane boost that you will obliterate anything up until level 50 or so. Up next is probably the most problematic unique of the bunch, the Valeroot, equipable at level 35. It is made out of the roots of Iterra, creator of the world, but it does suffer a bit from an identity crisis. It's clearly meant for a druid or a shaman with a flat physical spell damage. The Primalist casts a lot of physical or partly physical spells, and whenever you do this, there's a chance you summon a Veil Spirit. It's a glowing fairy around you, which also shoots lasers basically. It looks super cool, but its damage output is underwhelming. The item reflects damage as well, but reflect is currently very weak, so that is basically useless. I tried this item on a summoner, by the way, because Transplant and Rib Blood are physical spells and the Veil Spirit is a minion, so it benefits from all the summoner stats. There's also no limit to the number of spirits you can summon, so at some point I had like 5 of them, all shooting lasers. It's impressive, but like I said, damage is lacking. And lacking is a good description for this item. Even at level 35 it is not that strong. In endgame it is laughable and doesn't compare to any crafted item out there. It doesn't even compare to most of the uniques we covered so far. It is incredibly weak, and to me it is unclear under which circumstances this item is worth taking. Maybe a Spriggan? I haven't really played that yet, but even then I imagine there's so much stuff out there that is simply better. On to the next. At level 41 we got the Titan Heart, created from one of the titans that used to roam Iterra. You can still see the veins on the splash art if you look closely. The heart is also still visible. I really like the attention to detail. The Titan Heart is a little generic. It's got a bit of everything. 10% less damage taken, which is good, a bunch of flat armor, a lot of additional health, and one major drawback, because you don't replenish health anymore from your base health region. This basically means you need to leech health in order to regenerate. I've never found these unique affixes fun enough or good enough to consider equipping this item. At level 41 you're already close to endgame, close to some very decent craftable gear. This will hardly be an upgrade in many cases. I don't have the data, but I think this item, just like Valeroot, sees very little use because there are very few reasons to equip them. That's not bad, by the way. It's not that every unique has to be viable. That's never the case. I think it would help if the level requirements for the Titan Heart would be lowered, however, so it sees some play at least. For endgame, it's simply not good enough. Our final unique is one of the most exciting ones. At level 54, prepare to become a polar bear, because Kermode's cage turns your werebear skin into white fur. Now that alone is reason enough to equip this, but on top of polar shenanigans, this item actually has very decent stats. While any class can equip this, it is obviously made for the werebear, with 3 unique affixes directly targeted at werebear skills. Flat melee cold damage in werebear form is pretty huge, because werebears tend to attack rather fast. The increased mana cost is a drawback, but it's immediately offset by the mana gained on kill. Because werebear itself has plenty of mana efficiency in the tree, this chest should help you sustain permanent polar bears. You might even live longer than the actual polar bears. On top of all this werebear goodness, the item features a lot of elemental protections. Some flat strength which scales well with werebear, and increased cast speed. A little weird maybe, but Roar is actually a spell, and casting that faster is just great quality of life. You can spec Roar to grant entangling roots, and you can't be happier that this ability casts super fast. And that's it, the first episode of covering uniques. I hope you learned something and enjoyed the video. I can't promise I will cover all of the uniques, guys, as I want to make other videos as well, of course. In any case, just let me know what category you would like me to cover next. Thanks so much for watching and making it to the end. See you soon. Bye bye.